It's been in the news, it's been in the forefront, but the main thing is men's mental health. And this is a topic that is starting to be addressed more, but it hasn't been addressed enough. And not just addressed, but actually finding the solution and bringing it all together. We saw that former Purdue standout NFL player Rondale Moore took his life. He was found at his home, passed away a few days ago, and the trend over the past months has been insane, honestly, to see these young men who are at the highest level in what they're able to do, continuously being able to show up, put on a great show on the field or whatever respective sport that they're doing, ultimately be succumbed to the pain that they're dealing with, the anxieties that they're dealing with, the fear, and it ultimately ends up with them taking their life. You look at the Rondale Moore situation, the Marshawn Kneeland, the Kyren Lacy. These are guys who, in many people's eyes, are superheroes, professional athletes, star college athletes. Kyren Lacy was about to go to the league, about to get drafted. And it's really a shame. And I hate the fact that all the stuff that they were going through on their own in silence, they felt like not being here was the best solution. And I know that there were people in their corners. I know that there were people rooting for them. But it hurts me the most to know that in that moment, they didn't feel that support. They didn't feel that help. And I know for the NFL players out there, I've seen some statements where they said the NFL really doesn't support these athletes. Looking at the LSU situation, the coaches didn't support Kyren Lacy in that manner. Not all coaches, but there's just been talks. And I hate the fact that, you really just don't know. We always say check in on your people, see how they're doing. But I think it's just so cliche when everybody just goes about their day and just say, oh, what's up, man? How you doing? I saw this one time and it said, don't ask somebody how they're doing if you're not ready for the real response. How are you going to handle when you ask somebody how they're doing and they give you a real response? Man, I'm not doing good at all. My life is in shambles. I don't feel support here. I'm thinking of doing this, doing that. Are you able to handle that? And I think that tells a lot about yourself. How are you going to be willing to be in somebody's corner? It sucks, man, because mental health is a huge thing. As for the men's side, nobody really talks about it, man. We've been equipped, we've been trained since we were kids. Show no weakness. You have to be tough. You have to be this way. You have to fight through the pain. And for a Rondale Moore, somebody who was a superstar, larger than life for a lot of fans, a lot of athletes out there, he battled a lot of injuries. His trajectory didn't necessarily go the way he wanted it to. But honestly, that's life. Things happen that way. And, I hated the fact that, whatever he was feeling at the time, he just felt like that was the best decision. That was the only resort, because you have options. Your life is worth living and you should continue to live. And I think that as we talk about it more, and not only talk about it, but find the real solution to help these athletes out, because really just humans out, because take the athlete part off of it. At the end of the day, people are human. People go through things that you see and you don't see. You got to check in with your people. You have to make them feel validated, make them feel supported, so they can be able to do what they need to do at the highest level. And this is just a subject I've been stuck in my thoughts about for a long time, because, you hear about it and you're like, dang, you're not in those circles. I didn't know any of these guys personally, but you hear about it, it's like, man, I thought, things were going good, but you never really understand what somebody's going through. And that's why it's important to check in with them, check on them, make sure your mental is okay. Because if you're always checking on somebody, who's checking on you? And so you want to make sure you're all well equipped to be able to do your thing. And I just think that especially in this day and age of social media, there's so many positive, but way more negative things thrown at you. Whether it's fans upset with performances, whether it's your own goals and expectations that you have on yourself. Family. We talk about this NIL, people getting paid, but these athletes have a lot of responsibility, not only to take care of themselves, but for the people around them, the people who were raising them growing up, or the people who all of a sudden showed up and want something. I think that there's a lot more pressures than people talk about. And I think the conversations that we continue to have and shed light on this will be huge. For many cases, especially these are all football players I mentioned, there is a CTE component to it. There's no doubt about it. Usually with the older football players, the former football players, Junior Seau is somebody who comes to mind. But I believe that there has to be an actual support there, not just talking about it, not just, the men's or the mental health awareness month is great. But if you don't actually do something to help improve that, it really doesn't mean anything. I think of growing up when we play football and it'd be breast cancer awareness month and everybody wearing pink. Everybody likes to wear pink and we know the cause, but it doesn't hit the same if, number one, you don't know anybody who's affected by breast cancer. It's not going to hit the same. You just want to wear the flashy pink gloves, the spats, all that. It doesn't hit the same. And it also doesn't hit the same if there's no donation behind it to help find a cure. If there's nobody putting in time and effort to be able to help the people who are currently going through that diagnosis. Same way with the mental health. What are we currently doing to help these human beings out to make sure that we don't keep losing these people? I woke up this morning and saw that the actor from the Lizzie McGuire show, the dad, he passed away. He took his life, and that's crazy. Like, I remember watching him growing up, and like I said, you don't know what people are going through. Obviously, that's a character he's playing his role, but he battled bipolar symptoms for a decade or two. Like, I never even knew that, and so I think it just says something for people who, at this point now, how are we going to learn from what is happening? How are we going to continue to make a positive impact and change the direction of what we're seeing? Because, man, these young brothers, these young athletes, these humans, these people out here who feel like that's the only solution, it's sad to see. And we need to help change that narrative. Understand your life is worth living. There are other ways to get over the adversity, get over this mountain, and then you look back and you'll be glad that you did it. It's for people who, have had their finger on that trigger, who've thought about jumping off that cliff and didn't. It's really for those people to help speak up as well who've been in that situation. I know there are people out there, but, we really need to take a stride towards changing this narrative and actually making an impact, actually doing something to help these human beings who face these trials understand your life is worth living and you got to keep going.
Whoa. Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah.